1. The origin of sacrifice. From the dawn of human history, mankind has always understood one fundamental truth: there is no progress without sacrifice. In every culture, every religion, every ancient tradition, there exist rituals and symbolic acts that represent the abandonment of the old to make way for the new. The Greeks told of Prometheus, who sacrificed his own safety to bring fire to humanity. Christianity venerates the image of Christ, who endured suffering on the cross to open the path of salvation. The Vikings entered battle, willing to exchange their lives for eternal glory in Valhalla. Sacrifice is not merely an act. It is a psychological law, a cosmic truth. Something must die for something greater to be born. If you seek a new version of yourself, a stronger, more mature being, then the old self must be offered up, must be left behind. And that price is never cheap. 2. The burden of letting go. To sacrifice is not only to give away something you value, it is to willingly confront pain, uncertainty, and loss. Many resist this path because it demands more than comfort can allow. We cling to habits, identities, and relationships long after they have decayed, fearing the emptiness that comes when we let them go. But here lies the paradox. What we refuse to release becomes the very chain that enslaves us. Think of the addict who clings to his substance for relief, but in truth, that very clinging destroys him. Think of the man who cannot leave behind his bitterness, holding on to old grievances as though they gave him strength, when in fact, they rot his soul. Sacrifice demands we burn away illusions, and this is terrifying because illusions feel safe. Yet without this burning, there is no transformation. 3. Descent into chaos. Every true sacrifice drags us into chaos first. When the old identity is stripped away, we are left naked, uncertain, and exposed. This is the valley of shadows that myths so often describe: the underworld, the desert, the abyss. Christ spent 40 days in the wilderness. Buddha sat beneath the Bodhi tree, tempted by Mara. Heroes across time and culture enter the darkness before they find the light. Chaos is not punishment. It is initiation. The descent into chaos is the trial by fire that melts away the false metals, leaving only what is pure. To refuse chaos is to remain stagnant, but to endure it is to lay the foundation for transformation. 4. The death of the old self. Sacrifice demands death, not always physical, but always psychological, moral, and spiritual. The old patterns, the old excuses, the old dependencies must be buried. This is painful because the old self is familiar. Even when it is corrupt, it feels like home. But clinging to it is like refusing to leave a burning house because the walls are known. Every rite of passage in human history has carried this symbolism. The boy must die to become a man. The apprentice must die to be reborn as a master. The sinner must die in repentance to be renewed in grace. Each transformation requires a symbolic funeral, where we mourn who we once were, so that we can greet who we are yet to become. 5. The fire of transformation. When the old self has died, the process does not end, it intensifies. Transformation is a crucible, not a gentle evolution. The fire burns away what is false, and the heat reshapes what remains. This is why rebirth is never comfortable. It feels like destruction, because it is destruction, the tearing down of what cannot endure, so that what is eternal may stand. The hero who rises from the ashes is not simply the same person with new clothes. He is remade. His vision is sharper, his will stronger, his heart tested by flames. What emerges is not a mask, but a purified being, forged through suffering and sacrifice. Without the fire, no true renewal is possible. 6. The birth of the new self. Out of sacrifice and fire, something entirely new emerges. This is not merely self-improvement. It is resurrection. The man who has faced death of his illusions, his addictions, his comforts, stands reborn with a deeper soul. He is no longer merely surviving within the order of the old world. He is now a participant in the creation of a new one. The new self carries scars, but those scars are marks of victory, not defeat. Where once he lived in fear, now he lives in responsibility. Where once he clung to the past, now he walks toward the future with courage. This is the essence of transformation, not to escape suffering, but to transcend it. 7. The responsibility of renewal. Rebirth is not the end of the journey, it is the beginning of a greater burden. The new self does not arise to enjoy comfort, but to shoulder responsibility. For to be reborn is to recognize that your life is no longer merely your own. It belongs also to your family, your community, and to the unfolding story of humanity itself. With renewal comes duty. The duty to act truthfully, to speak courageously, to stand upright even when the world trembles. The man who has been reborn must carry the weight that the old self could never bear. And in that weight, he finds meaning deeper than pleasure, stronger than fear, more enduring than chaos. 8. The eternal pattern. The cycle of sacrifice, death, and rebirth is not a single event, but an eternal pattern. Life itself is structured upon it. Every season shows us this truth. Autumn strips away, winter buries, spring resurrects. Our personal journeys mirror the same rhythm. Again and again, we are asked to let go, to descend, to be remade. This pattern is not cruelty, it is grace hidden in hardship. Without endings, nothing new could begin. Without death, life would stagnate. Without sacrifice, there would be no transformation. To live consciously is to recognize this pattern and to willingly step into it, again and again, with open eyes and a willing heart. 9. The price of a new humanity. The sacrifice of the individual echoes into the destiny of the collective. When one person chooses to die to their falsehood and be reborn in truth, it does not remain private. It radiates outward into family, into society, into history itself. Great civilizations have always been built upon countless acts of sacrifice, where men and women laid down comfort, safety, even their lives, so that something greater could arise. But the cost is real. Every rebirth demands blood, sometimes literal, often spiritual. Humanity advances only through those willing to pay the price of becoming more than they were. If we dream of a renewed world, it will not come by wishful thinking or shallow reforms. It will come only through the fire of individuals who choose responsibility over ease, truth over deception, sacrifice over selfishness. 10. Resurrection and meaning. The story of sacrifice and rebirth is not merely an ancient myth. It is the deepest structure of human existence. To live truthfully is to accept that life is a continual process of dying and rising again. Each sacrifice lays the foundation for a greater future. Each death opens the doorway to a higher form of life. Meaning does not come from comfort, nor from avoiding suffering. Meaning comes from willingly embracing the cross that life lays upon your shoulders, and discovering that in carrying it, you are transformed. Resurrection is not only about eternity, it is about today. It is about becoming new, here and now, through the courageous act of sacrifice. The sacred exchange. Every act of sacrifice is a sacred exchange. Something lesser is given up, so that something greater may come forth. This is the rhythm of existence, the heartbeat of human growth, the timeless truth carried by every myth and every faith. To embrace sacrifice is to step into the fire willingly, to accept death so that life may be renewed. And in this paradox we find the highest meaning. Through loss we gain. Through death we rise. Through suffering we are transformed. So the question is not whether you will sacrifice, because life demands it of everyone. The only question is, what will you sacrifice, and what will be born in return?